Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm kind of moving away from the maps and such since I showed you everything I could possibly show you, since that's kind of everything I've explored so far. Maybe later I'll kind of go back to it maybe if there's some things I'm inspired by. But this section here is dedicated to any homebrew races that I'm featuring, perhaps in my campaign, but I like to turn down some of these avenues of interest and kind of explore these, going through the bestiary, and if the CR is low enough and equivalent to sort of a build similar to a player character, I definitely enjoy kind of looking into that and trying to incorporate that as sort of the in addition to over the 35 races featured in Pathfinder. So what am I going to feature today? Well, none other than the iconic Minotaur. Uh, being a, going back to my roots here, fantasy, and particularly with the novels and the role-playing and such. Going back to my roots with the iconic Minotaur from things such as Dragonlance. That's the one thing that kind of strikes out the most to me, has the most reverberated and felt race, particularly with a couple characters, but more so with the novels with Dragonlance. Everything behind me that you see there on one of the shelves, I have almost every single Dragonlance novel, but with the Minotaurs in mind, the ones that stand out to me would be Land of the Minotaurs, Kaz the Minotaur, Legend of Huma. So, kind of a old school sort of fanboy of that. And so, I'm kind of plaguing the world of Galarian with the themed Dragonlance Minotaur. I feel slightly ashamed for that because I love Galarian and try to keep everything Galarian specific, but Minotaurs do plague my thoughts whenever I have a group of players who like to kind of bring one together, and sort of that's fighter, the ideal fighter or barbarian. I always go back to think of that Minotaur. In Pathfinder, they seem to kind of give Minotaurs a backseat. These creatures of legend, of mythology, seem to be quite evil. Scorned by the civilized races, born from a Defic curse. Minotaurs have hunted, slain, and devoured lesser humanoids in retribution for real or imagined slights. So, they believe they potent and cruel demon lords. They believe they are not divine mockeries, but divine paragons. Created by a potent and cruel demon lord named Baphomet. I'm sorry for the pronunciations. I am terrible with those. I'm sorry. So this is kind of going back more to eviler. If that's such a word. The one thing that kind of strikes out at me at this is the intelligence is kind of a little bit lesser. I mean, given the description, it seems like they only have, one sort of imagined slight that they carry around with them, and can only think not much further beyond that. But in the bestiary ones, they have the iconic Minotaur there in Galarian's version. But let's say you kind of want to merge a little Dragonlance in there. Yes, the fanboy speaks out, and you decide to use the race builder as featured in the advanced race guide. and kind of go along those stats, looking at each of those lines of text, ingesting those, and sort of ciphering the things that stand out that you can make an equivalation to from the race builder. And as part of these videos, I kind of give you that extra time with not having to do this. To where you can kind of sit there and quickly calculate or catalog this and kind of take what you will from this video and choose to employ the Minotaur as a player character race. But going off the race builder, it's a framework that I use to try and stay not too far outside into this other realm known as the overpowered frightening realm there. So try to stay more within sort of a guideline. Try not to tip the scales of balance amid the player characters, but that does happen quite often. The type of the race, of course, would be a monstrous humanoid. You would see in the bestiary. That's one of the very first things you'll see. So, with the monstrous humanoid, they already get some additives to that, which cost no points, following the racial point rules in this. Which, the type quality would be monstrous humanoid. It would have Darkvision for free, and so that won't cost you anything. So already with the monstrous humanoid, we are at 3 points. And the size. Here's kind of where we get into that kind of sort of a skirmish here of if it's overpowered or not. If you kind of like all of your player characters, their races to be medium size, well, looking at the bestiary, you can already see that it is large in size. So do you choose to go with your first ever, perhaps large size player character? Well, if you choose to do that, you'll have to, incorporate, treasures that they receive. Some of those treasures you hope to perceive that your character of the Minotaur character will want to. Hopefully, you picked the right result, and that they'll actually pick the ones that you specifically make large, be it armors, weapons, and such. The damage codes are not too horrendous. But if you choose to go with a large-sized creature, you have that sort of a task at hand. Also the task of trying to kind of stay away from any jealousies. If there's another fighter in the group, happen to be human this time, kind of with the Minotaur, and sort of maybe, kind of vows of fairness are issued, where blood is drawn and written with a note, and other sort of silly taboos that follow that. So, you want to make them large size. If you choose to do that, that's kind of what I'm going to stick with. I don't know. It's 7 racial points. If you decide to go medium, you can do that as well. Maybe they're a smaller stock of a breed compared to their larger, distant, more critical in their sort of one-mindedness cousins, being of the more evil type with sleights at hand. But maybe make them medium and kind of move away from large weapons and such. But what can you do to kind of showcase that whole bestial strength and sort of a hulking frame? Yeah, they're medium-sized, they're hunched down, so they don't appear to be out of that category of the large size, but they're just slightly out of that, the tallest range for medium creatures. So, what can you do? Well, I don't like kind of going back to D&D stuff and kind of incorporating that, but it seems it is absolutely necessary if you want to use the powerful build feat featured in the 3.5 version, where the character can take this feat cost and wield weapons that are one size category larger than the medium creature already. Of course, your reach would not extend beyond your 5 feet, but you would indeed be able to wield those manufactured weapons that would be large in size. So you could incorporate that feat, so to kind of give them that larger kind of presence, their hulking frame, their brutish strength, their ability to wield these larger weapons. Kind of showcase that sort of perception of the Minotaur quite clearly amongst friend and foe alike. As far as the feat cost, that's kind of a homebrew option there. You can give it that 7 points if you want, or I'd probably drop it down to like maybe 4 or 5 points there. Now, do you want to give them the ability to use that feat and indeed let them wield those weapons with no penalty? Normally I think it's a -4 without this kind of feat enabled. Maybe you choose to use this and maybe just make it a -2 with the sort of this free sort of feat. So those are some options for you to decide how best you kind of want to go along those paths or avenues of interest there. Onward, base speed, normal size. Their stats and the bestiary list 30 feet. So keep that the same. On page 218 of the race builder, you'll see that there's a 0 point cost for that. So we're not too high in the racial points now, so that's pretty good. Ability score modifiers. Well, kind of going off this from a player character kind of view here, they have high strength, average dex, pretty good con, very low intelligence. We have no intelligence. I repeat, no intelligence. Wisdom is average, and charisma, sort of that whole sort of bestial quality there, shining forth as ever. I went with specialized on page 219, and I went with a +2 to strength, a +2 to con, and a -2 to charisma. So showcasing that whole strength and sort of that strong fortitude or constitution per se. So the +2 to both of those areas, and of course the -2 because of their sort of frightful, maybe brutish sort of appearance, especially in civilized areas where their race is not commonly seen at all, and fears and sort of grudges, or perhaps some sort of presence from the guard to kind of await whatever perceived threats that they feel. So I went with specialized. You're kind of disagreeing because you would think that they would have a higher strength. If you go with the large size, they already get that +2 to strength based on their size. So you already have that working for you, given the other features of being large-sized. Let's just go over that again. +2 size bonus to strength, -2 size penalty to dexterity. Large races take a -1 size penalty to their AC, -1 size penalty on attack rolls, and a +1 bonus on combat maneuver checks and to their CMD, and a -4 size penalty on stealth checks. So not the best rogue to kind of play there. A large creature takes up a space that is 10 feet by 10 feet, but has a reach of 5 feet. So that's one key note there as we get further along in this sort of step-by-step sort of building blocks here of this creation of this player character race. So you can see with the +2 that I made to strength and the +2 to con, you can already see that they're going to get additional +2 based on their size, so you can kind of move away from that judgment I can feel already. So that's 1 point. Languages, standard, I guess. You kind of want to get away from that whole dullness. The lower more bestial stats presented in the bestiary of the intelligence of 7, which is pretty harsh, to try and make it a player character. So I'm assuming they have like a standard intelligence. So I went with standard. Although if you choose to go with the lower aspect of the intelligence, then you probably want to give them the xenophobic, so they just get the race language, which would be giant. Racial traits. They have a very tough hide. Natural armor on page 223. I give them that's 2 points. I want to up that by 1 more cost, just because their hide is pretty thick there. So improved natural armor, so you get 1 more point. And of course, with the large in size, you're going to be taking away a point. So you can see already there's some similarity that's starting to coalesce and take shape, that there is a balance so far with this. I take something and I have to give something. Moving along, natural cunning. It's listed under their bestiary stats. As listed, although Minotaurs are not especially intelligent, they possess an innate cunning and logical ability. You can already see my stance on this now. They are intelligent. Look at this. They are not intelligence of 7. So already my case is presented, and there is sort of a contradiction here with this list in here, this special ability versus their intelligence. The natural cunning gives them immunity to maze spells and prevents them from ever becoming lost. Further, this is kind of key, they are never caught flat-footed. Haha! Rogue who tries to backstab me. I have one character in particular who loves to catch me on my flat-footedness, and I can never catch him on his, due to his little class feature. You know who you are. So, natural cunning. That is quite nice. It's not listed in the race builder, and I can't find an equivalent for it. So I went with a weighted cost of 4 points on that. Definitely something you want to include, just based on the mythology of their mazes, and you'd think they'd be immune to that, and of course their cognizant awareness of directional sense. You definitely want to incorporate that into the race. Moving on. I know I say mum too many times, I'm sorry. It's a common race feature of mine. Offensive racial traits. Weapon familiarity. Tongue twister there. Page 235. There's a listing for that, where you can pick 2 weapons that they are proficient in. I selected this twice because I wanted them to have 4 weapons, because I get this feeling of a gladiator, sort of a training in their youth, their little young boldness self. So the weapons I would choose on that would be the Great Axe, the Battle Axe, the Two-Handed Sword, and the Bastard Sword. So those are the 4 I would choose for that they are proficient in, given their maybe gladiatorial heritage, prowess, and skill of combat and arms. Moving on, their natural attack. They have this gore, their tusks. You can give them a feat for like horn trips and such. Not free, of course, but you can showcase that with their rack, their impressive rack there. We're not talking about a woman. The horns, keep that in mind. So 1 point cost for the natural attack with their gore. Also listed in the bestiary is the powerful charge ability they have. That is indeed in the race builder. So you can give that 2. It's already listed 2 points. So when they do a powerful charge attack, they can use that gore attack to devastate an ability. That's one nice little feature there. And last, based on that sort of large size, having a 10 by 10 foot area and only a 5 foot reach, the bestiary stats do show that they have a reach of 10, though, that is added on. So of course I will add that on to mine. So they have a reach of 10. So large size and reach of 10. You'll see the ogre that they made in here as well as a prime example for race building. They did the same thing with him because him and the when he's featured on the bestiary, he's also the reach of 10, even though he is larger size. And you'll see most things kind of around that size do have that reach. But I strictly went with everything that was listed in the bestiary, and put that into effect using the race builder, and then only I think one or two homebrew additions to that, just trying to make an equivalation from the bestiary into a player character format. So feel free to comment if it's kind of in the realm of overpowered or not powered enough, or just right, kind of like the Three Little Bears there, sort of. This is just version 1 of the Minotaur that I may or may not feature in the campaign as a optional choice to the addition of 35 races already featured in Pathfinder. So yeah, there are some careful considerations to make given the Minotaur if you do go with large weapons and such. So, but really, you're looking at a total RP cost of 24 points, which is not very bad at all. Little high, but you know, as you'll see with like Tiefins, Azamars, androids, and all that stuff, they're around 15, 16, 13. I'm kind of going down now for the racial points, and even the Drow Noble. The notorious Drow Noble is like 41 points or something. So you can see it's not that bad. It's not that overpowered. Of course, you know, a martial class will kind of wreck this to devastating effects on the field of battle with sort of a inspiration and sort of look from all your players as they kind of stare in awe with this sort of gorish sort of physique and skill. So kind of what brings me back to the whole Dragonlance sort of time I spent, sort of fond of the stories and the combat and all that was showcased with that. So, hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for your time. I hope I was able to help you in sort of prowling around, you know, the interest surrounding the Minotaur as a player character. And I will post those stats below. Thank you very much for your time. Hope you enjoyed it.